Last night, Elestrals hosted its final locals of the Daybreak metagame, and last second I decided to join because I thought it'd be fun. And I ended up going undefeated and winning the whole thing. So today, I thought it would be fun to bring you guys the deck list that I took to the last locals of the Daybreak meta. We're starting off this deck the same way that we start off every single deck, with 3 copies of Aster Rabbit. With its big butt and its fantastic ability to allow you to search the top 3 cards of your deck, Aster Rabbit is a fantastic card that often forces opponents to use removals that they need to use on your attack-oriented Elestrals. Our next Elestral is 3 copies of Galaxy. With its ability to play around every single counter rune in the game with the exception of Gorgon's Gaze, and also punish your opponents for playing around Tsunami, while also avoiding being cryoblasted, Galaxy is one of the most impactful Elestrals in the game at the moment. Next up, we have the card that probably carried a majority of my games, with 2 copies of Galaxy, a 3/4 wind Elestral that says you can target an Elestral and swap its attack and defense until the end phase. This can be great to utilize over big attack sticks that have small defense, pair it with an Aster Rabbit to swap its attack to 5, or pair it with a Galaxy and a Galaxy Mirror to make it so that way yours ensures the win. Either way, Galaxy is a phenomenal card that I'm going to be putting 3 of in moving forward. Our next Elestral is 3 copies of Spectaris. Spectaris is a 4/2 lunar Elestral that says the Spectaris gets +1 attack for each suppressed Elestral on the field. When the Spectaris enters battle with an Elestral, you can suppress that Elestral until the end phase. Spectaris is fantastic right now because a majority of the Elestrals played rely heavily on their ability. Our next Elestral is 2 copies of my main man, Edward. I've been cutting them down to 2 a lot because Galaxy is very prominent in the meta, and even with changing an opponent's Elestral's position, Eddie still can't attack over them when there's a Galaxy in play, so I've been cutting Galaxy to 2. Eddie. We're also playing 2 copies of Toxion. Toxion is phenomenal because it always counts as a 2-for-1, since when it enters the field, it will burn your opponent for 1, and they'll have to spend a minimum of 1 spirit to deal with this Toxion. Let alone if Toxion is able to hit in for 1 or re-enchant, you can continue to deal more and more damage with Toxion. And we have our slew of limited cards, starting with 2 copies of Viscerus. Viscerus is extremely strong due to its ability to count as a 2-for-1 summon as long as you're able to destroy an opponent's Elestral in combat. Viscerus is limited to 2, so we only play 2 for that reason. We then have 1 copy of Lavalith. Lavalith is extremely strong for its ability to be played for comeback situations. Not only will you be able to just slap a large guy that's hard to remove onto the field, you'll also be able to destroy an opponent's rune when playing Lavalith. That explains why it's limited to 1. Our last Elestral is 1 copy of Elechick. Elechick's ability to find out Zeus or Demeter from your deck makes it so that way Elechick can essentially be a 7 attack 1-drop, which makes it why Elechick is limited right now. I honestly think this card should just be flat out banned, to be honest. It's kind of a little too strong. Before we continue the video, I do want to remind everybody that I will be giving away a Reverse Stellar Exaltus at 100 subs. All you have to do is like the video and subscribe to the channel, and you will be entered to win this beautiful card. Without further ado, let's get back to the video. To start our runes, we have 1 copy of Demeter. Honestly, I didn't see this card a single time throughout the night, because every time I saw Elechick, I would much rather have Zeus, since Zeus allows you to have multiple Elestrals beat over the opposing Elestral rather than just 1. However, Demeter is still a fantastic second pick, and I would recommend keeping it in. Our next rune is 1 copy of Zeus. Zeus is fantastic. Pretty much every single time that Zeus hit the board, I was guaranteed to win the game. Not only did Zeus allow me to win the combat that I played it for, enchanting it with just 1 more spirit made it so that opponents couldn't really play very much in response, due to the fact that I could always just Zeus over it in combat. Next, we have 2 copies of Cryoblast. Cryoblast is great for taking out high attack Elestrals because they normally have very low defense. But if they do have a higher defense stat, you can always pair this with Zeus as an odd-colored Earthquake. Speaking of Earthquake, we'll be running one copy of Earthquake. We're already running Earth Spirits for our Viserys and our Demeter, plus Earthquake is just guaranteed removal that we always fit in as long as we have the Spirit room for it. Our next Invoke rune is one copy of Resting on Your Laurels. This is fantastic cheap removal for when you're behind in games. However, I'll be honest, with this deck, I literally never got behind in a single game, so I never had the opportunity to even cast Laurels. That's how strong a lot of the Elestrals in this deck are. And to finish off our Invoke runes, we'll be playing 3 copies of Ambrosia. We have this because healing is extremely broken in this game, since everything in the game costs your life to play. Ambrosia is always included as a 3-of, but like I said, there was never really a point in tonight's matches where I was actively behind, but I did cast it a few times just to keep a very comfortable lead. Moving on to our counter runes, we'll be playing 3 copies of Gorgon's Gaze to shut down anything an opposing Elestral might want to do. I mainly ended up just using this in the damage step to shut off opposing Elestral's ability and have them self-destruct. We're playing 3 copies of Poison Tipped Arrow for the -2 attack that'll save our Elestrals on multiple occasions, and also for the removal aspect that Poison Tipped Arrow provides. We're running 3 copies of Shield of Achilles to bounce any problematic Elestrals back to our opponent's hand. We're running 1 copy of Tsunami. Now normally we would run 3 of these, but with how prevalent water is in the meta right now, running 3 is a little redundant, making it so that way you have 3 dead cards a majority of the time. However, running 1 to pair with your Aster Rabbit, or sometimes if you're not against water Elestrals, Tsunami can come in clutch. And to finish off our main deck, we'll be playing 2 copies of Altar of Stars. This is our Tsunami replacement, since Tsunami is kind of null and void at the moment. However, it also works fantastically with pairing with our Aster Rabbit and Toxion to ensure that we can get multiple triggers of their effects. Moving on to our Spirit deck, we'll be playing 1 Lycris for our Galaxair. We'll be playing 2 copies of Vipyro for our Lavalith. We'll be playing 2 copies of Flurmine for our Cryoblast. 2 copies of Owloon for our Spectaris, 3 copies of Leviathan for our Galaxies, our Eddies, and our Tsunami. We'll be playing 5 Zaptors for our Aster Rabbit, our Toxion, our Elechick, and Zeus, and then 5 Tyrantlas to finish out the deck. The one change that I would make to the Spirit count is putting 1 less Frost Spirit in for 1 more Zaptor, just because most of the time I found myself expending the 1 Frost, knowing that I probably wasn't finding both Cryoblast anyways, and there were a few situations where I wish I just had 1 more Zaptor. But other than that, I felt like the deck performed extremely well. What are you guys looking forward to in the new Moonrise meta? Let me know down in the comments below, and let me know anything that you guys want to see in the future. If you guys enjoy content like this, be sure to like and subscribe, as I do put out content like this daily. I hope you guys have a good day, and peace.